Hello everyone, welcome to Carterx Gaming, and today we are going to be doing an interview. So a couple weeks back, I did an interview with a good friend of mine, Dauntless Stark, and I interviewed him and we discussed all kinds of different topics. And today I'm going to be interviewing another content creator, one that I don't know if you can see and can tell, but I have some of their actual merchandise behind me right now. The one and only Bricks O'Brien, and so I'm going to be interviewing him, and I'm gonna let him tell you who he is because I feel like I won't be able to do him justice. And so, Brian, tell everyone who you are.
Well, judging by your background, I thought you were going to interview Todd Howard with all the Fallout stuff back there. So I'm glad it's me. My name is Brian Saviano. I go by Bricks O'Brien across all your favorite platforms, YouTube, Twitch, and beyond. I'm a full-time creator for all ages and specializing in gaming, lifestyle, comedy, basically being myself professionally for 8 years now as an independent creator and branching into even more podcasting and good stuff as we head into 2026 and, maintaining a positive, welcoming vibe in these tumultuous times we live in. So thank you for welcoming me to the show, Carter. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. Like I said, you are a very uh, you are a very big inspiration to this channel. If I've talked about this a few times on the channel, but one of the biggest reasons that I started doing YouTube in the first place was because of you. When I was about 9 or so years old, I started watching The Brick Show, and that's what the show you used to be on was The Brick Show. And I started watching The Brick Show, and then whenever that stopped being a thing and you started doing your own, I immediately shifted to the Bricks O'Brien brand and started watching you from there. So I have probably watched you a total of 10 years, somewhere in there, maybe over 10 years. So I have I know quite a bit about the lore of your channel and how you've evolved. And so I wanted to start the interview off by asking for, we know where you are now. Let's go back. Where did you come from, and why did you decide to start doing YouTube? And what was like the first videos that you started doing?
Well, I mean, it started on probably a dark and stormy night in 1995. And then, when I was gracing the world in January 23rd of 96, that's when I came to be. And then, now I found myself always trying to find ways to, I guess, entertain and facilitate a vibe that I never had as a kid, which was this kind of communal experience because I grew up a little bit in the inner city, no brothers, no sisters, so a lot of the time that I spent playing games and stuff was solo, and this was before we had the Fortnites and the Minecrafts and everything else, right? So we really had to make do with whatever we had. And so when I discovered that YouTube was a thing in, the early parts of YouTube, like 2008, 9, I was really surprised by what it was able to do. Like I could randomly upload a video about whatever, and then people would see it. Strangers would see it. And, it wasn't necessarily done with parents' permission. So anybody watching out there, make sure you get in, proper precautions for mom and dad and whoever, or your significant other, whoever you have at home. Um, and I just let that be the guiding star for whatever I produced early on gaming videos, and then eventually wanting to do that as a career since more and more people were beginning to do that. And the shift had happened where more people are watching on YouTube, on Twitch, on all these other platforms, and not on like network TV like NBC and CBS and whatever. So I saw that potential very early on and just stayed strong on it, whether it was working for another company, collaborating with another brand, and now being fully independent myself. Having that autonomy to create and connect people without the hurdles that have previously been there was very interesting to me. And that's what I've stuck to throughout all the years.
So I am not I would not consider myself a family friendly YouTuber by any means. I'm not so I don't not all my games are family friendly, but you have managed to stick to that pretty much flawlessly throughout your career. There have been maybe 2 or 3 games that I can remember that are like teen rated, but and still family friendly.
Yeah, and
And
even then, there's still,
yeah.
a Star Wars Battlefront is fine, right? I'm
Yeah.
not, I'm not getting complaints from parents like, "Oh, you played the Star Wars." Whoa,
Yeah.
all right, it's fine.
And so one thing is, so why out of all the different types, why did you not decide to go full like Jacksepticeye and just go full into the cursing? Why did you decide family friendly was the way to go?
Well, a couple of reasons why. The first reason being I really enjoy the challenge as an entertainer, where I noticed a lot of people will default to a swear as a means of reacting to something, or it's a filler word, and you're pulling from nowhere to try to make up for something that you're lacking, which is either like a clear point you're trying to make or just like a funny joke, or pulling from something that happens in your real life. And so this is something that I studied a lot from comedians that go on and do stand up. And you'll notice that with Jerry Seinfeld, with Conan O'Brien. They won't default to swearing. They will do basically everything they can to make a funny point without going there. And that in turn makes it even more funny, because if I'm making a point that is clearly not family friendly due to the circumstance, then those who are really paying attention, really listening, they see that and they appreciate that humor so much more than if I just called it out for what it is. And there's one instance that immediately comes to mind, and I'm not. I kind of want to go there, but I'm not. Maybe by the end of it, I'll go there. But anyways, it happens frequently enough, and then I focus a lot on Nintendo gaming and Lego and these brands that have shaped my perspective in creativity and in life. And so, if I ever wanted to work with them, if I ever wanted to work with a major network or something, I think that approach makes it much more palatable for them to work with someone like me, because I can articulate myself in a way that doesn't default to that kind of language. I'm not going to lash out. I'm not going to, do a smear campaign if something doesn't go my way. Having that cleaner approach to it and the professionalism is where I strive. And then that's helped me get opportunities that maybe somebody from my size doesn't necessarily get, but because of who I am and what I stand for, that's basically a fast pass to working with a lot of these really amazing companies like St. Jude and Stand Up to Cancer and so much more.
Yeah, and I've noticed that like if you really like look at the mumbo jumbo, like the dreaded numbers, right? Like not a lot of people would consider you like a massive YouTuber by any means of necessary. But that is not that, and that's not meant as an insult. Like I think it is incredibly impressive that you were able to like make like super successful book series, make super successful YouTube, make partner, and do all these things without being that traditional like 40 million view video YouTube channel. And I think part of that was that it wasn't necessarily the numbers, but it was more the loyalty. There were so many people that were, and especially like from someone like me who was able to like go and watch your videos because like you were trying to get like partner for Twitch. So I would go and like just have your video on to count as a view so that you could do that, because there's not a lot of YouTubers that are able to earn that kind of respect to be like, this is something that I want to make sure that this person has. I want to give that person that opportunity. I'm going to go buy their book, not just because the book is going to be good, but because I trust that it's going to be good, because I trust the
Well,
person that it's coming from.
and thank you for doing that and being so supportive over the years. And yeah, that trust, that loyalty that people have had to me as a person, to Pro Gamers Guide, Bricks O'Brien, anything that I'm involved with, that is not something that you earn in a year or two or three. It is a multi-year, of making the best decisions you can and having the community at the forefront of those decisions. And with that in mind, it's like, what do I want to put out into the world? And what I've realized about myself in this journey is two things. A lot of people who have long lasting careers, they all have different starting points. They all do these different things. So I'll take, for example, Conan O'Brien did the late night TV show, was a writer on Simpsons beforehand, all this other stuff, right? And he didn't get that late night show opportunity until he was 30 years old. I'm 29. So when you think about him to go on to win, whatever awards that he's had, all this acclaim, and then have a super successful series and this podcast and whatever, and be friends with all these celebrities and notable people, he didn't really start until almost being 30, or being 30 rather. So for as much as, I may not have all these giant numbers and whatever, I have done so much in philanthropy, and like you said, with the book series and the subscribers that I have made, the content I have created with, the brands I have created with, and the other point there with the book series, Pro Gamer's Guide, Meaningful Life Tips in a Video Game World, sharing those experiences with the next generation. There's so like being able to do one book is one thing, but now we're on book 3 and putting that out into the world. It's its own thing. And every goal that we, as we'll call it Brick City, we'll call it, Kevin and the other people that I work closely alongside to make this stuff happen. Every goal that we've had, we've accomplished. We've done it. The thing that I'm really passionate about, the thing like, yes, we want this to happen and go. And when I give it my all, when I really focus on it, it does happen. So it just so happens to not be 100,000 subscribers on YouTube to 1 million to 5 to 10. Now, what if I took that energy for the philanthropy, for the books, for the whatever, and I work with a really amazing editing and distribution team and have the funding to make the content that I want to, then we can really blow this thing out of the water. Because that is something that a lot of people, I mean, yourself is included in that, like, oh, Brian, you should have more followers, you should have more whatever. And I've just been focused on doing all of the side quests besides getting subscribers on YouTube. And that's built the trust with the community and with the creators that stand alongside me. So I'm confident in the decisions I've made so far, and we're going to focus on that growth, especially in 2026.
And that's a really inspiring way to like look at it, because I think it's something that a lot of YouTubers get into a little bit too much. They get too obsessed with like the numbers, they get too obsessed with like the dream, and I think that is a really healthy way of looking at it, of like, you're not necessarily in it for the specific like number, but more the outreach and being able to say like, I have raised this much money for this charity and I've been able to do these opportunities. Like you are doing what you want to do. You are able to make it happen. And so one thing I wanted to ask you was, what is something that's like a super like unobtainable, but you see as an obtainable goal in the future?
Well, I think having some sort of network produced or funded or distributed show that is appropriate for all age demographics to watch. So I did a pitch at NAB show in Las Vegas to network executives that was like, hey, here's what I would want the next iteration of late night TV to be, which is not just the variety show with interviews and stuff, but like, how can the audience engage with what I'm doing in real time and present these choices and allow the bits to be something that they're involved in with this controlled chaos that I already have on the Twitch live streams with the redeems popping up on screen and all this stuff, right? Because people crave interactivity. They crave that engagement of talking to the person that's on the screen. That is why content creators are who they are. And that's why any of us are really on Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or we're wanting to feel something. We're wanting to feel connected to other people. And we have the privilege of being able to do it in a phone screen. So what happens when we give this a little bit of a budget? We give this, this person, which, I'd be the host of, like the talent to guest star on it. And let's just have fun and make it a really enjoyable thing. That is one of the benchmarks I could see for like, wow, okay, now we're really doing something, because, a lot of what a Mr. Beast or Mark Rober does is really cool and interesting and appealing to me, but I don't necessarily want my videos to be fueled by just giving people a bunch of money and having them do crazy stuff. Like, how do I do this in my way and get people to feel involved in the process and have craft a place of belonging for people? And it's something that literally the whole family can watch. It's not just catered to kids. It's not Mr. O'Brien being Mr. O'Brien with the Kirby air ride playthrough, but it's something that if you put it on the TV, grandma can watch it, your parents can watch it, you can watch it, whatever, and it's just chaos, controlled chaos in a really creative way. So that is currently the big grand vision professionally that I have, that I think I believe in the next 5 to 10 years becomes more clear as we continue growing and building. So, yeah.
So there was a memory that I had one time. I was watching your content. One of my favorite series is that my favorite series you've ever done is 101 Things to Do in Minecraft. That is, and I think you could have probably guessed that's like one of your better series on the channel. But one of my favorite series on the channel was your Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah.
And there was I don't know if you just didn't post it. I don't know what happened, but it was on Prime for a long time, and then when Prime started to get a little iffy about YouTubing stuff, they pulled everything and it wasn't on YouTube. And I remember, like, me and my sister, we that was like our comfort channel. Like, that was our comfort videos. And like, we were very disappointed. Like, we were really young at the time, and like, we were really disappointed. And my mom was like, maybe like I can reach out, and like maybe there's a way we can get it on YouTube. And so my mother, she went on Facebook and she commented on one of your posts. She's like, is there any way that you can put the Untitled Goose Game on YouTube? It's not there. We can't find it. Where is it? And within a day, you had responded and put that series on YouTube.
I was gonna
And
say I
like,
deleted the
yeah,
comment and never heard from your mom ever again.
yeah.
There, oh, he's done. No,
I like
thankfully not.
like you responded, and like that was something that was like a massive shock, because it's like, this guy is making content. This is a line between like and this is like, you're not going to be able to like talk to Tom Cruise and be like, this is my favorite movie, do you think you could give me a, like, you had this like almost mystical level, and then be able to like talk down and be like, this is just a guy. This is just a guy who's listening to us. And so how do you manage to like strive for that level of
How did I attain
connectivity?
my mystical wizard powers of fame and fortune? Well, maybe not fortune, but
Oh,
fame and all that. Is that it?
how are you able to maintain like that level of connectivity while also being so busy, while being, I mean, even this interview, like being able to talk to someone who, by all accounts, I mean, I only have like 200 subscribers. I'm not a big YouTuber any means, but you're able to take the time and talk to someone like me. How do you get to that level of connectivity while still being so busy? Like, where is that line?
Well, it's about understanding what the point of all this thing is. And like I've said a bunch of times already, it is about having community and facilitating meaningful connections. And so, you have been around for a long time, popping live streams, the comments, whatever. You're like, all right, this Carter guy's familiar. And, I have been in that position where I've interviewed people and, wanting to talk to this mystical figure, and then something comes of it, something doesn't. And, doing things like this specifically are my way of saying, all right, I'm giving back to my roots of trying to make this into a full-time thing, and hopefully share some perspective to anybody who's listening, watching, and then hopefully you can subscribe on YouTube to my channel, because that'd be pretty poggers too. But it is a part of the expectation of what people have today when it comes to what they watch, where the old Hollywood model of watching your favorite A-list celebrity and like just clamoring over that fame, that status, that whatever, and having this curtain, it's slowly going away, where there's no man behind the curtain anymore. You have to present yourself as authentically as you possibly can, so that way people can connect with you, and they will go to watch your next video or live stream or like your post and whatever, because you can have all the numbers that you want in the world. it doesn't matter unless people care. And they care by being there. They show it by buying a book. They show it by, sending fan mail, whatever way that they show they care. That's what matters. And I think you're seeing that when it comes to like a big blockbuster, right? A lot of people The Rock can do an indie film, but just because The Rock is in the movie does not mean that people are going to go see it. It has to be tied to like a level of caring for the people that are involved. And there's just less and less of that. And we're getting more niched down on like, okay, well, Brian, I really have liked for many years. We're going to follow his journey and we're going to support him. And then, oh, Brian recommends this guy, this gal. All right, cool. Now we can go over here. And you slowly build out this network of really well-connected people that make good stuff. And that's how I see it. So it's literally just in the DNA of who I am and what I do. I've always been the person in my friend group, in family, real life as Brian to bring people together. That's my God-given gift, is that, whatever form that takes. And here it's obviously content creation and live streaming and videos and all that.
So I know it's like asking a magician what his favorite trick is, but what do you prefer doing, live streams or videos?
That's a question I've asked myself a bunch, and I think the controlled chaos of live streams is really compelling to host and be part of, especially when there's a lot of people there. Not meaning like the numbers, but just like I can be able to tell that people are enjoying it, and that's the closest someone like me in my position can get to being on stage and doing stand-up without actually going to a stage and doing stand-up. Is like, okay, like if there's nothing in a on the flip side of that, if there's nothing in the live stream chat, if it happens to be a dull moment, if people are just kind of watching and not engaging, then the appeal of being live isn't necessarily there for me. I think a lot of people fall into one of three categories where you can be really great at interviews and podcasting, but then everything else you're kind of You're really great at live streams, you're really great at videos. And like people generally are not good at all three. I have known YouTubers with hundreds of thousands of subscribers and all this attention and comments and blah, 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 blah. And they do not want to be on stage at a convention and be in front of people physically. And it's like, this is literally what you asked for. What's wrong with you? That's just my opinion. So, everything has its perks. I think live streaming has the best way to engage with people and really fires me up. But you can do so much more creatively in the controlled environment of making a video. And then doing a show like this, I get to share insight that I normally don't do while randomly building a Minecraft Lego set or, playing Metroid Prime 4, right? So everything has its perks, but live streaming has a special place in my heart, which is why that big goal for me is that network live show experience that families can enjoy.
So I know I've kissed your feet enough at this point. I've bowed down to you at this point, but I wanted to ask, like, what is your reaction to people like me who like take so much inspiration from your side of things and your content and decide, you know what, I want to do this, and being able to have that knowledge of like you are creating the kind of next generation of YouTubers. What do you think about that? Like, what is your thoughts?
Well, as I'm about to turn 30, it makes me feel decrepit. That I'm 1 foot in the grave in one way. But no, really more seriously, it's like the honor of a lifetime. And there's so many creators that don't understand the impact that their words and actions can have. And for one reason or another, they are not involved in the creator space. They get canceled. They are, run out of town for whatever reason. And being a positive role model for anybody who enjoys what I do, being a positive light for anybody has been the main focus of everything I put out online. And for the most part, if it's not constructive and going toward a positive resolution, then I really struggle to get behind it. And there's so many negative things out in the world. You can go on any social media platform. You can go turn on any news station and find an infinite number of negative things in the world. And there's a level of optimism you can have without being, hokey dory about it and saying everything's great. Well, not everything's great, but let's try to find the positives in what we're being presented with. And that's been my approach. That's why I don't necessarily cater things exclusively to kids, because there's a practicality to what I do in my perspective on it. And so I take it very, 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 very seriously when somebody says, you've inspired me, or whatever the compliment might be, because like I said before, that trust is earned over many, many, many years. And unfortunately, it doesn't take long to break it, which is why I'm very grateful for it every day.
That is very good way to word it. Yeah. So I I think that like your approach to talking about more serious topics, like one of my like some of my favorite videos on your channel were like the vlogs where like you like the one with the mice where you were like getting mad at the mice, and like you were talking about how you were like worried about it. Like I have been someone who have been in that situation where like I have worried about like just the randomest things and like mid mental breakdown. And so like to see someone trying to like entertain with their mental breakdown while also mid mental breakdown and like being like this is the worst thing, but like still finding a way to like put a not positive spin on it but somewhat of a positive spin on it, and like your covid disclaimer, and that's something that like my whole family quote all the time is don't lick windows, kids.
Don't lick windows, kids.
Like we quote that all the time. So and like I think that that's a really cool way of doing it, because yeah, you're family friendly, but you're not someone who's like afraid to, and that's something I don't really care for like other like family friendly content creators where like they don't talk about stuff, they don't talk about their personal life, they don't talk about their days. Like I remember like your Minecraft series where you would just go on and on about like some Christmas party you went to or like something you did, and it was like it made you feel more human, because that's what a human does, is they talk about anything.
Yeah, and when with those situations of tragedy, you're either crying or you're laughing. And I have had not the best days to ever happen. I think we all have. And being an entertainer, it's a weird challenge for me to like put on that, not a face, but like choose to hone in that energy and go down that path. And even in the times where it actually happened kind of recently, where I was like really done and just like nobody talked to me, get away from me, I am mentally checked out, put me on this plane back home, and I still will like have a constructive, positive conversation about an experience and take a picture or do whatever. Like it's not one person's fault for something like that happen or whatever happening, right? So it's really part of it too. When I make those videos, when I'm on a live stream, I have every right to like turn off the live stream and not record a video when I'm truly feeling down. So even when it's like, oh, Brian's having a mental breakdown, like, yeah, but like if I really were, then I wouldn't be making a video about it. Like I'm not looking for, sympathy points. It's like, this is clearly something he made to be a funny thing, and here it is. So, having that spin on it just makes life more enjoyable, not holding on to that animosity and letting it carry through you. I mean, a lot of people that are like that are jealous and envious and hurtful and hateful. And it's like, come on, don't bottle any of that in. Learn to be funny about it,
Just gotta meow it out, as you always say.
That's it. Don't ask me what it means. I still don't know, but you just gotta meow it out. That's it.
So what advice would you give to YouTubers who are starting out, someone like me, someone who, anyone? What advice would you give to a YouTuber or a streamer, someone who wants to start on that path?
Well, first of all, it is showing up. And for some people, that's consistently live streaming every single day for a year, which some people do. For some people, that's live streaming once a week and giving it your all, and that's that. Some people, it's making 3 shorts every day or just on, every other week. But whatever you do, show up for it and put whatever you might have, bottled up inside, and you're either putting it aside or you are creating the engine within yourself to hone that energy and bring it into whatever you want to say, whatever you want to do, because social media is always changing. How videos are structured and live stream should be is always changing. And no matter what in life, in content creation, in entertainment, in writing, when you sit down, when you do it, just give 100% of whatever you have in the tank. Not every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows. Some days I have these days too. You only have 10% to give, but give that 10%. Don't leave it by the wayside. And even like if you're writing, for a fact you're going to write garbage. You're going to spew out whatever you're going to spew out, but understanding that is part of the process. Understanding that being bad at something is part of how you grow and evolve into where you want to go is all part of the process. And having friends to help you alongside it makes it that much better. So, hate to sound like a hashtag ad for the book, but literally that's what I write about in the series, and what I try to tell kids is like, it's not a magic number that's going to make you feel better. No play button, no Lamborghini, no watch, no, whatever. It is giving yourself grace in whatever effort you have to put out for the day and just showing up whenever you decide to show up.
That started to sound like a rap song there for a minute. That reminded me of your mom's spaghetti video.
The album is coming in 2030. Give me a little bit of time. 2030.
So, what, like going into the Pro Gamer's Guide, because we haven't got to talk about it. What inspired the idea for healthy habits and making friends?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a writer in my own right for a number of years, and it was, maybe some scribbles and doodles and a notepad or whatever. And, I you can write about all the things you carry animosity about, and here's my angst, very Eminem style of putting it out into the world, and like, that's not really what I want to do. And so how can I leave a legacy of what I do in a physical form, honing in this writing passion that I have, and get to make some really cool illustrations to go with that. And it was to make a picture book, which is how Pro Gamer's Guide started. And I knew I wanted to do a book. I didn't know what the title of it was going to be when I had the idea January 1st, 2020, and the road that it would go down with lockdown and all the adversities that came with that. But I knew that I wanted to do something along those lines and kind of combine all these elements that I love. And I originally had an illustrator with I don't want to say an agency, but like an illustrator that it wasn't working out. I was about to cancel the project in summer of 2021 after months of development turmoil. And that's when my good friend and creative partner, Mr. Kevin Hinkle, stepped up to the plate and said, no, we're going to finish this thing. And so we went through a total revamp of the illustrations and modified the story and really connected on the creative process of this story and these characters, and involving the community in a lot of its development. That way, when we launched it on Kickstarter as a surprise thing for the community, it got fully funded in one day, which is absolutely incredible. And continue to be grateful for that in of itself. And has since spun off all these different things. And I just kept thinking to myself, like, what are the things that I wish I had when I was younger on, in a paperback form? Because Pro Gamer's Guide, it's not necessarily like, it's for kids for sure, but it's not like baby time either. Like, the tips that you see in the books are very applicable as you are an adult. Like, drink water, get a good night's rest, go out and put yourself out there. And being able to connect with that audience when they're young and just carry that through as they're becoming a YouTuber or not. That's super important. So drinking 4 of these giant jugs of water a day,
We have like the exact
getting
same jug.
yeah, getting better about my sleep. Like these things have transformed my life in the most positive way possible. And there's too many creators out there that are just spitballing this powdered energy supplement with random ingredients in it to get you wired up until 3 a.m. And it's all trash. That is the number one thing you will never, ever, ever until my dying breath ever see me sponsor is one of those powdered energy things because it is the worst thing for you. Water, I'm a Coke Zero guy myself. Coffee, things like that. Do everything else for the most part before you go there. And so that's the real thing I want to hammer home with that next generation. Just please don't take that sponsorship for unnamed powdered energy brand number one, and then everything else is work itself out.
None of these energy drinks are just like promise like it will change your life. Yeah, because it's going to give you a heart attack or something.
Yes,
There's
it will
something
put
wrong
you
with it.
into what they call cardiac arrest, actually. So have fun with that medical bill, I guess.
So the big question that we got to ask you, and
Oh.
the huge question: when is Pro Gamer's Guide to Taxes coming out? When is that gonna become a
Well,
reality?
I mean, listen, I just got a new accountant who understands what I do, and I feel like if I made a children's book about taxes, it would either be the greatest thing to ever happen and go viral, and the moms would love it and whatever, or it would be a massive waste of time, energy, and money. So the risk is a little bit too high for me right now. Um, if we could get it sponsored by TurboTax or H&R Block, then we might be cooking. If they want to toss in 50 grand to make it happen, we can make it happen, my guy. But until then, I'm going to focus on literally anything else with my time. I'm sorry, but not sorry.
You've just killed the souls of so many people who've
Yeah,
been
I
desperately
do
wanting to get
that
their
pretty
hands
often.
on
So
this.
whenever they ask me to play my Roblox, it's the same idea. So I'm used to disappointing people.
Your face just stopped moving for a second. You had to hammer home by just literally lagging the entire
Yes,
screen.
yes, that's what it's all about.
So out of the characters that you've created for the channel, and you do have quite a few, who is your favorite, and where did the ideas for all of them come from? Where did they just kind of pop in your head?
Well, each of them represent a different thing. Where Polly the parrot is this kind of tween age group of like just angsty, hot-headed, tropical parrot. Cecilia the cat is the shy one, the one to be a bit more adventurous but not be as talkative. And then Cuddles the penguin is the curious baby penguin who loves dressing up and being very vocal about whatever's happening. So picking one is definitely difficult because they each represent not only myself in ways, but just what I've noticed with people when I go to conventions and when I meet fans is like, you're either a Polly or a Cuddles or Cecilia. We've definitely had the most fun with Cuddles because there's like text to speech on my live stream. You can use the Cuddles translator to get her to speak up and add commentary to the live stream. So, there's other ideas for the other characters too. It's just, matter of making it happen. So right now I would say it's Cuddles, but we're definitely through each of the Pro Gamers Guide books. It's about telling the stories of these characters in unique ways and giving them their own time to shine. So I'll say with the upcoming book, Pro Gamers Guide to Defeating Trolls, that, we had Polly already. We've had Cuddles in the spotlight. So I think it's time for Cecilia to shine. And I think the way she does will be really interesting and cool for those that are paying attention.
I'm excited for Defeating Trolls because I think that one is in my opinion, one of the better ideas that you've had for these books, because that's something that like everyone, especially I, have had to deal with like people just. I don't mean to like what they're not fun to deal with. People
Sure. Yeah.
just suck, and so people they're always looking to put you down. They're always looking to cause problems, and so like how do you keep, because like if you watch your streams, like there's oftentimes not many like people who are actively causing problems. You might have one or two, but like, how do you maintain that level of professionalism to keep the trolls at bay while also, you know, keeping everything kind of free and loose to let people express themselves and kind of know where that's going to lead to a potential troll?
Yeah, well, it's two things. Number one is having great systems for how to deal with that. Where if there's an issue, you know, the moderation team is fully aware of like, all right, this is how we deal with these kind of people. We've seen this behavior before from either somebody in like a Minecraft server setting or Discord or Twitch, and this is, you know, a lot of those behaviors are very predictable when you deal with it enough. So we have ways of identifying people like that and keeping a tabs on them and whatever. And what is interesting is some of those comments and that negativity can come from people that don't necessarily know any better, which is part of the equation as well. People in their home environment, in their personal life, professional life, they don't know how to be socially in a social environment. They don't know you know, the kindness that you need to bring when you're entering an online space or any space for the first time. So that's a second part of it, is understanding that not everybody's on the same level of like self-awareness and identifying these things as I am. And people, they just don't know any better. And they think that the online world is their outlet to be negative and to bring that energy because they are wildly unsatisfied with their lives. So instead of working on themselves, they'd rather try to take other people down. And that's why bullying happens. That's why toxic comments happen. And where I see a lot of creators make a lot of mistakes is by amplifying that, fueling that, because not only are you giving them exactly what they want, which is attention, but then you're getting personally invested in this negativity, which then transcends to everything else you do in life, your schoolwork, your partner, your parents, how you treat animals, everything. It transcends to everything. And so I am very, very particular about how I deal with trolls. And I absolutely do not want to have it draw attention to what else is happening, especially in the live environment, where the metaphor I use is, and you know, maybe you'll learn about this if you ever go. When you go to a club and somebody's causing a problem, somebody's had a little bit too much vacation juice and they're just, you know, they're like, you know, they're just doing that, right? So what happens? The bouncer doesn't turn off the music and say, hey, this guy, get out of here. It's what happens in that situation. I don't know from experience, but I've seen it. Is somebody, the bouncers will approach somebody and say, all right, grab them by the arms, you're done, buddy, and then quietly escort them off of the dance floor and out of the building and onto the street. And so maybe it's done with a little bit of force, maybe it's not. And so that's the approach that I use. Like, I'm not physically throwing you out on the street, of course. Digitally, I am. Get out of here. And then they go somewhere else. You can go to McDonald's, go to Taco Bell, go to somebody else's channel. You're not coming here. And so having that approach has actually helped me like reduce on all of that trouble very quickly. So if you find that you're encountering that a lot, literally think of your community, your space as a club, and you got your bouncers. That's why they're called bouncers and executives of Brick City, right? So it's a play on it, but that's how I visualize it, you know?
That's a really good way of visualizing. I didn't realize that was where you had gotten like the bouncer name from. I mean, I kind of figured that was where it had come from, but that was a pretty.
And again, it's not from experience of me getting thrown out at a club. Okay, I entertain people of all ages. I have never been thrown out of a club. All right. So there you go.
We'll have to take your word on that one.
Yeah, you will.
Next book, How to Get Thrown Out of a Club.
Well, I don't know about that one.
So, what is your setup? I know that's kind of a question that a lot of YouTubers don't like to answer, so you don't have to. But like, what kind of stuff do you use? Where?
You know, I have a pretty beefy PC, the parts of which I couldn't rattle off if you had a Splatoon blaster to my head. I have a Sony A150 camera back here, another camera for like Lego building and gingerbread house making. the entire suite of Elgato products, from the key lights to the stream decks and whatever. The thing that I stay true to through and through, I got this, which is the Shure SM7B, when I started as Bricks O'Brien full-time independent. And I've literally, as much as I've been an Elgato ambassador, I had the Hot Pockets microphone and all that stuff. There's never a reason for me to switch away from this guy right here. This is a industry grade professional microphone that has stuck with me all the way through. So pro gamer tip, audio will end up serving you way better and be excused by people, even if you have poor video. So focus on audio, which is what I knew from the beginning, which is why this is my one of my Horcruxes. If I were to be sought after with a magical spell, this is one of them.
When now you've given everyone the secret to the cripple the great Bricks O'Brien. Just
yeah, right. That's one of them, and maybe there's some in my Paper Mario collection, but who knows?
So speaking of Paper Mario, I think everyone who knows who you are knows that Paper Mario Thousand Year Door is your favorite game of all time. I mean, you had an entire event dedicated to this game. Other than that game, what is your favorite game of all time?
You know, just because it landed at a really particular time in life, and the whimsy and wonder that I've really enjoyed from it, it might be Super Mario Odyssey, which is kind of a cop-out answer because it's another Mario game. It's a 3D platformer. It's the most recent one, but you know, the energy behind Switch 1 and seeing how well people received that game is really cool. And every time that I've played it, even till this day, I discover a secret about the game or a detail that I didn't notice the previous time I played it. And so that's my favorite thing about games, where, you know, you can discover something you haven't quite seen before. And the worst thing to me is when a game is very predictable and doesn't leave you curious about what comes next. And, you know, I felt that way, you know, even games that are not suitable for what I put out into the world, like Red Dead Redemption 2, Halo Infinite, these games that are more, you know, first-person shooters, or whatever it is. I've been surprised by what happens, and I've enjoyed the journey. So it might be Super Mario Odyssey, but that element of gaming is what I crave. So, yeah.
Speaking of Red Dead Redemption 2, this is just something I've been curious about, actually. In your 101 things to do in Minecraft, you have a horse named D'Angelo.
Yes.
Is that the singer in Red Dead Redemption 2?
Yes.
I thought so.
I thought that exactly. 100%. Yep.
Because I remember in that series, you were like, the kids won't know who this is, but I'm going to name you after D'Angelo. So your name is D'Angelo. And yeah. I obviously did not get that as a kid. And then when I got older and I played Red Dead for the first time, I was like, this is who he meant. Like, this is what he was talking about.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I just finished, I played through all of the game. I think it was, it released on the 27th of October, 2018, I believe, and I finished it on Halloween. So it was a very quick, so I wouldn't get spoiled. But yeah, it was totally from D'Angelo there.
I remember that episode where you killed D'Angelo, and it still is traumatizing. No, because like, I don't know why you thought that was a good idea of lifting that horse up like that. Why where that come from?
I have a lot of really good ideas, and they don't always land, and neither did D'Angelo. So rest in peace.
Rest in pepperonis.
Yeah.
So I have two more questions for you. What is your favorite gaming series that you have on your channel that you've ever done? And it doesn't have to necessarily be your favorite game that you've played on your channel, but just like the editing turned out really well, or you found the funniest commentary. And then on the flip side, what is a gaming series that you will never touch it again with a 40-foot pole? Like just a video you did where it's just like, nope, won't do it again.
Well, some of my favorite memories of a game coming out and just tackling it immediately, and the kind of the serendipity of it all, was when I played Luigi's Mansion 3 on Halloween night until 5:30 in the morning, edited the videos, had them ready so people could watch them like just hours later. So that was really cool. And then I did a live stream from where I was in the game, and I was in the inflatable Luigi outfit, and the game being as entertaining as it was and just like fun, just a level of care that went into that game made it genuinely enjoyable to play, and something that I just took a lot of pride in. So there's that for a favorite. The most disastrous game that I've played, it's really unfortunate because it is from my favorite series of all time, where I played through the first entire 2 worlds of Paper Mario: The Origami King in 2020 until 6 o'clock in the morning, and the audio was all messed up, and there was no saving it, and I had to replay all of it again immediately and get it up there as quick as I could. And this was during the lockdown time where everybody's miserable, everybody's trying to figure things out, and man, I was just tired. So I want to go back and play it for myself. To do another series or anything on it is really not necessarily in the cards. And then I played Paper Mario Color Splash at one point where I didn't even finish the game because I was so aggravated with how poor the level design was that I'm like, I don't want to play this anymore. So a bunch of my favorite game series of all time. There's some trauma for sure.
I had a very similar experience. I know this is not a game that you would play on your channel, but I've been playing Dispatch.
Oh yeah.
And it's episodic, so you record every episode. I recorded the first 2 episodes, and then I think I got like a cold or something, so I wasn't recording. And then I got right back into recording. It was late at night, and I was like, I really got to get a video done. I recorded the whole episode. It's like an hour some long, and then I looked at the video, and I didn't even press start the whole time.
Yep.
Didn't even hit the button. And so I literally went out and I made a short just like, I cannot believe that I just did this. I don't think I can mentally recover from this one.
Yeah. And, part of professionalism is being able to do it. And I've struggled with it for a long time, but like this happens in, professional broadcast settings too. It happens to anybody and everybody at every level. So if anything, take a little bit of solace in that and, get back on it. But I always take a little bit of time away. I'm like, all right, I clearly am aggravated. Have I had something to eat? Have I slept? Have I had water? Because I will literally like be in a position where I'm in an awful mood. I'll chug a bunch of water and I'm like, wow, I feel remarkably better. It's almost as if like 90% of our body is water and that's what we need. So, it may seem trivial, but that stuff does help. At least it helps me.
Yeah, that was definitely what my problem was just lack of sleep. I literally, I just turned everything off and I went to bed. Because I was just not doing that again.
Oh, yeah.
So, my final question for you, and this is a question that I like to ask just because I think it gives a good insight into the person. What would you, if you could, go back in time and go back to the past Mr. O'Brien, what would you tell him? And on the flip side, if you had a time machine and you could go forward to the decrepit Mr. O'Brien, what would you ask him?
More decrepit than I am now? Man, all right, geez. Although I'm turning 30, I do feel pretty good. I don't feel old, genuinely. Like some people are like, oh man, especially the younger kids, true kids, they're like, oh, my favorite YouTuber is getting old, and they'll put like the dying rose emoji. I'm like, shut up, at least I'm alive. You say, oh, he's still alive? Like, is that a bad thing? Shut up. So, anyways, what I would say to my previous self, in this, there's a lot of the really tedious and not great stuff that you don't want to do that is integral to your success, which is making sure that when you have your email, it says brian@bricksobrien.com, like not having a Gmail, and then making sure that's linked up properly. Make sure that keep track of your expenses, keep track, find the right people to surround yourself with. All of that stuff that isn't creating long term ends up being the stuff that makes and breaks a lot of people. And your goal is to have longevity and to iterate, to evolve, to invest your time in the things that really matter most. And I wouldn't necessarily change too much because, if I just focused on myself and not the charity stuff and not the partnerships with these other companies on their channels and stuff, would I have more subscribers and more whatever on my stuff? Of course I would. If I'd never done Pro Gamers Guide, would I have more of that? Of course I would. But that's not what you want to put out into the world, and that's not what you want to build long term. So I would maintain that course. And then also for previous self, stop eating like a half a pizza in one sitting. You fatty. You need to eat better. So please start doing that. Go for a walk and do it like 3 times a week for the love of everything, and drink more water, please. So that, and if I can go into the future and tell myself something, the future, I is it what I would ask or what I would tell myself? Is that the prompt?
Like, what would you ask them? Like, if you like had a question of like how things turned out, or just something that you would ask.
I would ask. My gut check answer is I would ask if everything's going to be okay, which I know it will be, right? I rest at the end of the day, and I know, like, even though I don't have everything figured out, I know I'm on the path to getting to where I want to go in life. So I know things are going to be okay. I would ask them how much, I guess, that's a really tough question. What else did you leave any? Okay. Did you leave anything on the table? Is there anything that I should or what should I prioritize right now in order to get to where, we want to be at your time? And it could be professional or personal relationships, whatever it is. But, my biggest struggle right now is prioritizing time and feeling the energy, feeling the gusto within me to give it my all and show up when I want to show up. And, just asking how much have we left on the table? And hopefully the version of me 5-10 years from now says nothing. And we did it the best we possibly could, given the circumstances of the world, and continue to do the best that we can and move onward and upward,
I thought that would go in the direction of like you asked like did I ever manage to land Brenda? Did that ever work out?
Listen, if I went on the dating apps and put myself, what I said before, everything that I have set out to truly accomplish and put my mind to, it has happened, which is a very dangerous thing. And Brenda, she can wait for a minute while I continue to figure stuff out. And maybe Brenda, maybe she'll be there. Hopefully she will be. But life's long, and I'm gonna keep living no matter what these kids are telling me about me being a wilted rose on TikTok. So whatever, it's fine.
Well, I want to thank you very much for being here today. I had a lot of fun interviewing you. I like interviewing YouTubers, and this is something that, like I said at the beginning, I did one interview. This is my second interview that I've done on this entire channel, and hopefully I can do more in the future. I want to thank you for being here, and I want to thank you for all your content over the years, and for being such an inspiration to myself and to so many people like me, including my entire family who have watched you since I crammed it down their throats when I was like 7 years old.
Well, I appreciate it. And yeah, keep doing the thing. Get more people involved in this. And, whenever you decide to turn on the camera for a live stream, video, podcast, whatever it is, just show up and be the best you can. And if you keep at it for long enough, then, you'll figure out what you got to do.
Oh, you cut out there.
Oh, you'll be fine. Just, you're good. That was basically
meow
it.
it out.
Yeah, meow it out. Go, yeah, meow it out. You can find everything I put out into the world by going to bricksobrien.com or explore my picture book series, Pro Gamers Guide, by visiting progamersguide.com. You can watch new and recurring videos on the YouTube channel, Roku, Twitch, Kyoodle TV, Happy Kids TV, Durio, wherever, and a partridge in a pear tree as we are on this journey to make awesome stuff and bring people together.
I will have all that stuff in the description so that you can go check out his stuff. Also, I have my own stuff in there, my Twitch, my Discord server, and make sure to check all that stuff out in the description. And thank you for being here, Brian, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.